the room design.
Guten Abend, mein Freund. And, how do you say welcome? Willkommen to room design. Okay, it's Drunken's and Dragons. How you play D&D real good. Well, I'll tell you how to do it good. You design your rooms for your players. So make them awesome to play and fun, right? Fun's cool. Okay, guys, it's time for room design again. And this was the second room of our 7th night of the journey through the Underdark. The 7th night, by the way, is the final night of the Underdark. We're finally going to get some fresh air on the 8th night. But the players are mid 4th level right now, and I was ready to present them with some tougher challenges because they're getting too good at everything. Thus, the collapsing cavern. So we had just come through some antics. The halfling, the underbottoms, their brother who they thought was dead is indeed alive. They are doing freakish tests on him to trying to turn him into an Umber Hulk. And they resolved that situation. Then they kept digging deeper into the hive and they discovered this pulsating, partially melted, organic hellhole. So this room honestly could not have gone better. All I really wanted to do in this room was see if the players could beat a bullet. So if you guys know the bullet, the land shark, legendary D&D monster, basically burrows through rock, jumps out like rah, and smashes his jaws and bites stuff. And it's a pretty tough monster, does a ton of damage. I don't know, CR6 or something like that. Definitely a challenge for these players. So my thought was just, I'll give them a bunch of interesting terrain. A little bit of world hazards, you know, when you touch these, they spawn puddings. This guy is a collapsible pillar, so you do some damage to it, it gets disrupted by the bullet or by the players, the ceiling will collapse and do damage. And then, of course, there's always this great little guy. This is what we're calling a king's root, which is a weed that grows in the Underdark that can be used for low-level healing. So the players are always seeking that out. Good way to lead them where you want them to go. And then here's the exit to the room, here's the entrance. Everywhere you see green stuff, we did sticky acid. So instead of just rust, like when the players were level 1, now we have sticky acid. So it gets on you, it eats your armor, it does hit points. It's like you got to do dex and strength checks just to move through this. Crazy, crazy stuff, terrible. What I couldn't believe is the players start attacking this room and they come in and they split up. I'm not sure why. I guess I blame halflings mainly, but we wound up with one part of the party going over here and the other part going over here. They're making very hard to see in here, choking fumes and scary and fear checks and all that good stuff. But they saw a little gap right here where they could kind of keep going and maybe worm their way through the caverns. Meanwhile, the halflings, the Underbottom brothers, for whatever godforsaken reason, decided to go this way. So they're over here probing around, the ground starts tremoring, and sure enough, this pillar collapses and the ceiling caves in and blocks them off. This big boulder actually fell right into this gooey gap in the wall. Wow, so as they are coming in here, my monster timer finished up. That's another nice mechanic to talk about, is in a lot of my rooms, my players dread the D4. When I get the D4 out, I roll it, and whatever I get, I use it as a timer until whatever monsters I have in that room will spawn. So if I get a 4, the players kind of know, well, we got a little bit of time. If I roll a 1, they're like, nah. It gives a little bit of the ambush away, but at the same time, it gives the game a real, like, out in the open feel, and it works really well. So anyways, my monster timer runs out right after they collapse the damn cave. Then we use the dice to determine where the bullet, here represented by this disgusting larva thing, is going to spawn. So by freak of nature luck, the bullet spawns right there by the 2 halflings. So my awesome high-powered druid, their NPC dwarf hireling, and our cleric are over here, cut off. And we have 2 boneheaded, wacky halflings trying to take on a bullet, making their way back to the healing route. So we had a couple of heroic feats happen. One thing, our cleric pushed this boulder out of the gap, making just enough way in the wall to pass. Our wizard has been carrying a plank in his quiver of Ilona, so he whipped a plank out and made a tiny bridge. But meanwhile, these guys can't fight a bullet, especially the two of them. It's not going to happen. So, a few nights earlier, our rogue lucked out like crazy on the magic items table and rolled the gem of water elementals. So you basically crush this gem and it summons you a water elemental to do your bidding. Well, since my players are no slacks and they keep track of their inventory very well, right when the bullet spawned, he's like, boom, gem of water elemental. Summons the water elemental right here and commands him to do battle with the bullet. The water elemental kicked the bullet's ass. So this is a little thing to remember, Dungeon Masters. If you're going to do a monster battle royal between a water elemental and the land shark, he does not stand a chance. So he got his ass kicked. They looted him, by the way, so that was messed up. Then this guy has some more life in him, so these stinking players of mine are crazy. So they all make their way across the plank. They bring the water elemental. They have him come up here, and then they use him as a giant pressure washer. So they keep making rolls to see if he can pressure wash the acid off of the freaking cave. So they have like a 10-foot tall pressure washer, basically. Now, that was about most of the room. They kind of made their way through the acid. They got out. There was a Duragar who appeared for just a second. You know my little Duragar. They're all over the caves. So he popped out, and he was trying to summon his Umber Hulks. But they were just too quick. They shot the guy, basically. Also, we have an Umber Hulk mind control subplot that's happening, and that kind of came into play, but we'll get into that later when we're talking about world building or something. That's crazy stuff. So they managed to survive this actually with not that much damage taken, and I'm the dungeon master, and I'm just like, what the? That was supposed to be one of the hardest monsters you guys have ever fought. But here's the thing, I got them to use up the gem of the water elemental. So it's really cool to see an overpowered reward from a previous adventure get expended. We had the same thing happen with the Feather of the Rock. Our cleric used the feather that summons the giant bird, and they skipped one of my biggest encounters. To the dungeon master, you're like, well, I did all the cool shit, jerk. But to the players, it's a big win. So as a dungeon master, don't be a troll and be like, hey, I came up with this whole cool battle. And don't be that way. Be happy for them. Have a shot of whiskey, relax, go with the flow. And they were feeling like, hell yeah, we are getting way more powerful. Now, little did they know that a purple worm is going to be in the next room. Which, by the way, stay there, cameraman, but I was a little short on time. So this was the miniature we used for the purple worm. As you can see, it's got some nasty teeth, but it is made big enough where it can envelop a mini. So again, this is a good tip for room design. If you really need a visual representation of something crazy like a giant purple worm, and you don't have the mini for it, or the sculpting ability, or the time, it's all good, man. Get your toilet paper roll out. This worked great for the encounter. That means like he's digging, he's face down. This means he's bursting out because he's face down. It's worked out great. So anyways, that's it. That is the collapsing cave. I could not have hoped for a better result than to split the party up and the goofballs get cut off by the collapsing cave. I thought they would use it as a damage enhancing mechanic, so lure the monster, collapse the cave on him, and all that stuff. But as usual, they do something completely unexpected, and then you have the 10-foot pressure washer. So there you have it. That is the collapsing cave, room 2 of night 7 for the. We don't have a name for our PvE group. There you go. If you enjoyed the video, please put a comment and a thumbs up down below. And in your comments, hey man, what should we call our PvE group? We've got an elven cleric, a human druid named Twigs, and 2 halfling brothers, 1 rogue, 1 wizard, who were prisoners in the Underdark. It took them 5 levels to escape the Underdark, only to discover it's time to return to the surface and things are not as they left them. And we're about to go open world, and I'm going to let them decide how they want to deal with the state of the world now. What's a great name? Famous names for PvE groups are like the Provokers from Fistful of Dice. There is Acquisitions Incorporated from PAX. These are cool names. They're like giant inside jokes from years and years of playing D&D. So, hey, we need some ideas for our PvE group. Put it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Support the channel so we can do live sessions. Strength, honor, dope room design. I'm out.